the Arab Spring, and I think with America's involvement in Egypt, I think the excuse me, I think America is very much concentrated on Egypt now. I think that's what America is focused on, Egypt in the Muslim world. I think it was Saudi Arabia and Arab oil, but I think over the past 20 years, with the Muslim Brotherhood of Egypt, America has kind of shifted its balance from the Muslim world, from Saudi Arabia to Egypt. So I think America is focused on Egypt now in the world rather than Saudi Arabia. I think that Egypt is kind of the capital of the Muslim world, all of it, including the Middle East and Iran and Pakistan as well, and Northern Africa and Turkey as well. So I think that America has invested in Egypt now. I think it had some kind of problem with Saudi Arabia. There was some kind of contention. It could be something to do with Wahhabism. This is some kind of witchcraft in Islam. I think that's what Wahhabism. It's some kind of witchcraft in Islam. It could be something like that. So I think that America is kind of disengaged from Saudi Arabia. I think it feels offended by the royal family of Saudi Arabia. I think who are very embedded and interested with Wahhabism. What is Wahhabism? I think it's a Muslim witch. I think it's witchcraft. If you look at the benevolence of Islam in the world, it's kind and considerate. It's very flowery. It has a lot to offer to the world. I think it has a lot to offer to the world. I think it does, but I think if you look at Saudi Arabia and Wahhabism, it's kind of like witchcraft. What is Wahhabism? It's like strict discipline to safeguard Islam from perhaps the future or Western decadence. It's something like that. I think the Muslim world is very poor in the world, so it feels very bitter in the world and very insulted, so it spits out the world. I think that's what Muslims do, they spit out the world because they feel they're not prosperous in the world. And I think that's the problem of the Muslim world. I think it's the Muslim world's problem. I don't think it's anybody else's problem. I think it's their problem. I think that the Muslim world can perhaps take note of modern advanced economies and perhaps make gestures to develop their own economies in whatever way they want, whether it's through agriculture or services, perhaps developing their own domestic production capabilities, whatever those production capabilities are, developing those capabilities and perhaps developing their economies to have a level playing field in the world. So I think they can pick themselves up with their economies. I think they seem to always kind of pretend some kind of friendship of service and luxury to pick up their economies, and that's absolutely idiocy. I don't think you build economies like that. I don't think you should build economies through services and luxuries by pretending you're equal in the world, or you have some kind of Arab friendship to offer to the world, or to beg for some friendship in the world. I think that's idiocy. It's kind of easy money through oil money. So they kind of spend, and they spend to oblivion. I think what's good is to look at your own production capabilities and just build on that. But I think with the Arab world, they like to think themselves as rich or something. So they kind of offer some kind of friendship or convenience to the West, and say we can offer service and luxury or something. So I think that's what they're doing, and I think that's very neglectful. So I think that's one of the points about the Arab world. They seem to have easy money, and they don't seem to be developing the economies of the entire Muslim world. And the Muslim world consists of North Africa, the Middle East, Egypt, Turkey. It also consists of Pakistan, and it can consist of Indonesia as well. So I think that's pretty much the Muslim world. It's 1 billion population in the world, and that's pretty much a religious population. So it's quite a strong population. But I think that the Muslim world is very defeatist. I think it's very neglectful. It just complains a lot. I think there should be more initiative on the part of the Muslim world. So that's one of the important points. But I think the reason that America has shifted its focus from Saudi Arabia to Egypt now, because it could be very offended by Wahhabism. This is very insulting to the world. You know, it's very strict, orthodox. It's like the Spanish Inquisition. People don't have equal rights. They don't have human rights or civil rights. They don't have the hand of law or legislation. That's what Wahhabism does. It degrades Islam to some kind of strict punishment and discipline to behave in the face of some kind of world aggression. I don't think it's Western aggression. I think it's some kind of world aggression, and a problem with world aggression. So I think there's that kind of factor. I think we should have more law and legislation that supersedes religious interests, especially with religious Wahhabism and culture. So I think if we can get rid of this religious culture and just focus on law and legislation and world-class law, world-class order, world-class public services, and hospitals and schools, if we can focus on those things rather than the world-class hotels and the world-class restaurants, that could perhaps conquer Wahhabism. So I think that America's shift to Egypt is kind of taking a firm response with the Muslim world to suggest that we could have some kind of peaceful conduct in the world rather than a terrorist conduct in the world. So I think that Egypt is very important in the world now. We have the Muslim Brotherhood of Egypt, which is also a religious sect, and it's conducting a lot of religious reform throughout the Muslim world. So I think America, Egypt, and the Muslim Brotherhood of Egypt is quite important, and I think it's likely to mean some kind of Egypt influence in the Middle East, perhaps through Lebanon and the Middle East, and it could have a big arm in North Africa as well. I think Egypt could have a big, strong agenda with North Africa in the Muslim world. And I think that it's kind of becoming an opponent of Iran in the Middle East. I think that's what Egypt is, an opponent of Iran in the Middle East. So I think America is very strongly focused on Egypt and the Egyptian Brotherhood of Egypt. Thank you.